So McMusing, you danced like a crazy, which was awesome, and I really enjoyed it. I won't be dancing today for you though, because of Van's video. Van made a video, Timido66 made her video on Tuesday, and your emotion in it really moved me and has stuck with me ever since. And then Raul makes a video discussing trying to adopt a vanilla child, and he was only offered chocolate, which is, I don't really know what to say about that, because I have one vanilla and one caramel kid. I'm caramel, even though I look vanilla in the camera. So, my discussion is probably going to get serious. I hope you enjoy. There are rules you have to follow as an organ transplant recipient. I know you probably had no idea that this was going to come up in this vlog. Well, it will. I had my first transplant in 1993. 3 years later, I went to the doctors, and the doctor, well, I mean, you know, I went to the doctors here and there. It wasn't like I went 3 years without going to the doctor. It's just at my 3rd year point, I went. And he had an interesting conversation with me. He asked me if I plan on becoming a parent. And I was young, and it's not something I had started to think about. I mean, I knew I wanted to be, but, you know, I was still like 24, which is young. You know, lesbians usually have their babies in their 30s, so it threw me off. He just basically told me that the transplant rule at the time, I don't know if it still is though, I'm not really sure, but at the time is they asked you to wait 3 years post-transplant. But once you hit 4th year post-transplant, they don't want you to do it. For some reason they decided this number, pulled it out of a hat, I have no idea, that said you're safe getting pregnant with this year. And then after that, no. Unless you go and get a second transplant, you hit your 3rd year there, then maybe at that time, depending on your health. I don't know. I don't know what the rule is anymore today. All I know is that was the rule at the time for me. And I didn't know what to do, because I knew I wanted to have a baby. At the time, I was a nanny. So obviously I liked kids, and then here I was with this proposition, now or never. So what do you do? Well, I guess you do what I did. I started searching for sperm. Once I became a parent, it's weird, because in the beginning of parenting, everybody has an opinion. And they're always usually about what you're not doing. And I think I got to a point where I just decided I'm just going to do it my way, and I don't care what anybody thinks or says, because if I was going to screw up if I was going to screw up, I was going to screw up. It was going to be my responsibility for screwing it up or being successful. And I'm a little hippie-ish in the way of raising children. I don't know if I should say hippie, but I don't believe in a firm hand. Never hit my kids. I don't believe in yelling. I never yell. I never raise my voice, ever. And I do follow the philosophy that if I expect them to respect me, I have to respect them equally. Because even though they're, young, they're still people. But this method of parenting is very difficult, because it requires a huge commitment. I was never somebody who would let the kids cry in a room and leave them alone because they had to learn to console themselves. I think that's cruel. I wouldn't do that to an adult, and I wouldn't do it to a child. I believe that children have the right to say to you, I don't like the way you're talking to me. I need a break right now. If I'm lecturing or they're in trouble, I feel they have the right to say, I need a moment to myself to think about this because I'm getting overwhelmed. This is the type of parenting I believe in. It works for me, it works for us, it works for the kids, and I believe that my children, I think it's working out. I used to wonder, my God, I don't want to have some kid that's running up and down me so fast I don't even notice. But that's not what happened. When you give your children unconditional love and commitment, they're going to give you the exact same thing. They'll fight you less, they'll defy you less, and they're frankly just going to be honest with you about everything if you're honest with them. I have tried to use myself as an example numerous times when the children have made mistakes in their life. And Sherry will say, well, we did this when we were young, blah, blah, blah. It's normal to think, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't work. What do you think might work instead? You have to reason. You have to teach them how to think. You have to let them become independent, or else they're going to be one more adult in the world that's fucked up and needy and lost and unhappy. And I think that if you raise them to fully trust themselves and the choices that they make, you're going to create a person that's going to be a lot happier and a lot more moral. Well, with that said, I want to briefly discuss being a gay person and a parent, because we still haven't, I could go into what we don't have. We can't legally marry, we can't have the beautiful marriage, and we can't, I don't know if it's beautiful, but like the traditional marriage. There's so many things that we don't have. And when we have children, those become much louder. They will be bullied and treated horribly, not by everybody, but by enough to cause severe emotional pain, in which can only fade through the love of people caring about their life in their outside world, outside of their home. Now, this doesn't always happen, because kids will repeat what their parents say, and you'll have vice principals and secretaries and teachers who are just plain damn ignorant and don't know what to say or do because a child in their school or in their class has two parents of the same gender. This is very destructive, and it's painful, and it doesn't make gay people not have children, because you really don't know this is going to happen until you become a parent. There's nothing worse than picking your kid up from school and them telling you about the new bash of the day, and knowing you can contact the school and they're going to do nothing about it. It consumes you in a way of suffering that I can never explain. It's probably just about the worst type of suffering you'll ever have. At least it is for me. So, when you have children, you're going to have heartache. It's just going to be a part of the deal. It'll be the greatest love of your life, and also the greatest pain. Especially if you love them unconditionally and you're willing to do anything for them, regardless of the sacrifice and the loss of maybe things you have to give up, because it is a huge commitment, but it's an incredible commitment, and it's worth it. But it's not easy. So I say to you, Van, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. I say to you, Raul, go get a caramel chocolate baby. Vanilla's fine. All flavors are lovely. And McMusing, you're a great dancer. Well, I sign off for Thursday. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that the rest of your week is lovely.